All right. Hey, everybody. We are now, there we are. Live from Denver. It is Friday night. Always got to do that sound check. I'm always deathly nervous about that. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Critical Conversations, the show where y'all get to talk to us and vice versa. And by us, I am Chris Shelton. This is my beautiful wife, Melissa.
Hello.
And we are very thankful that you are coming and joining us this week. Yes. Oh, well, thank you. You look amazing. I'm sure that Daisuke is referring to you. Yes. All right. Yes. Happy Friday, everybody. We see all the usual critics in the house, all the usual suspects, and good stuff. Oh, so many things to talk about tonight. Where to begin? Let's actually begin at the beginning with all of us. Oh, I look amazing too. Okay, good. Thank you, Alex. First off, what a week. Not a bad week. It's been a pretty good 2 weeks for me in terms of production and stuff. And yet it's been weird this week. I got to tell you guys, just on a personal note, just to kick this off, it's been a weird week. And the reason why is because I've been home alone.
Yep.
Because my significant other here has begun, a regular work at a regular job.
So I've been at my job every day, and yeah, it's weird going back to the office. It's like, hold on, have to commute and do all that.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, it's just you don't think about the silence and the isolation until it's like, wait a minute. Anyway, so we're very happy that the job is going well, and by the way, I've got some very nice consultations going lately as well. I've been working one-on-one with some people. I'm not going to talk about the details of any of that because that's between me and them, but I'm going to talk a little bit about some other stuff related to that. Yes, I did miss Melissa. We were actually texting each other about how much we missed each other. It was a little it was a wild week. It's just getting used to this stuff. And then,
I think they're saying that's in the way.
Oh, it is. Look at that. Oh. Look at that. All right. Thank you, guys. I can't believe I had that in frame. How silly. Can't believe I missed that. You know how sometimes you're just so used to seeing something you just don't see? You know what I mean? You're looking, but you're not really looking. Yes. All right. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay. So first off, beyond any of that, let's do our quote of the week from Melissa.
All right. It's pretty short and simple. Life is one long struggle in the dark, from Lucretius.
Life is one long struggle in the dark?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay. That's dark. Literally.
Well, I was just thinking, like, in the sense that you just never know what's coming. It's like, well, you're always kind of struggling and trying to figure out what's going on, and
you never really know what's around the corner. I mean, it's true. It is true. You don't know, and and predictions are dime a dozen. Yeah, it's not a phase, Mom. Oh, thank you, Laura, for those gifted memberships. Very appreciated. That quote is not helping. Okay. Okay. So we have that, and then also to get everything kind of rolling for this week, let's go ahead and check in with our Snuggles Struggles cam. All right. So here is our little bundle of furry joy. Wrapped up in the living room there on one of our chairs. He loves sitting in our seats.
He thinks it's his.
He does. He absolutely does. So I was just kind of woke him up a little bit here. And so he was a little disoriented, kind of wondering what I was doing. And so I was kind of encouraging him a little bit. And
feet.
Yes.
Well, his big feet for a little dog.
Oh, huge. He's got these great big Wookiee feet and a little Ewok body.
Yep.
Is kind of how he is. You can see he's starting to get shaggy again.
Yep.
He'll get up in a second here. I did finally entice him along that line.
Like, I don't
there
know.
he goes.
I don't know. Maybe. Oh, okay.
There he goes. Come on, buddy. Yeah. So there he is. And then he was just so good, just sitting there being all posing.
Oh, look at him. God, he is getting fuzzy again.
Yes. Yeah, he is. But you know, it's a separate kind of cute at every level, at every phase of his hairiness, you know, of his hair. It's awesome. Yeah, he's definitely. And as the hair gets thicker, it gets more Ewoky.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I mean, he's just always cute.
Yes.
We have just rescued the perfect dog for us. Let's just put it that way.
Yes.
He's just a wonderful little. Well, sometimes he's a real Shih Tzu. And sometimes he's more Lasso. Let's put it that way. Okay, so there's our Snuggles, Not Struggles cam for the week. Now, I have a couple of important dates for you to note down because I got one of these dates wrong. I think about a month ago or so, I told you all something. I had my dates off. But I think you guys are going to be interested in both of these dates. February 7th. I went back, I checked, pulled it up, went back to the Internet Archives, and February 7th, 10 years ago, was when I made my YouTube debut. Actually on the Surviving Scientology on Karen De La Carriere's channel. But it was my YouTube premieres, first time ever that I was ever on YouTube. Coming out as a new, fresh ex-Scientologist, and I had a lot to say. So that was 10 years ago, February 7th.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's maybe a Thursday this year. So February 7th is my 10-year anniversary. So I'm going to do a live stream on that night. We're going to do it at, I think I'm setting it for 6 o'clock. Yeah. So this time on February 7th. And it'll just be just an anniversary, just kind of a good time. I'm going to go over some documents and stuff none of you have ever seen. I've got a whole little file folder. I've been waiting for a very long time to go over some of this with you guys. I'm talking about church documents related to me when I first got out. And that whole first year, 2013, the year of living hallaciously, it was the best and worst year of my life. And 2014 is when I started speaking out. Anyway, so we're going to have a little celebration of that. And if you would like to join me, then that would be awesome. So that's February 7th. And then February 29th, this is the big one. I'm putting it down. Here it is. February 29th at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time is when I'm going to be doing the live stream of the tone scale video. So that's happening. It's, you know, the work has been being done. It will be being done probably till the very last minute, just like my master's thesis, right up to the last second. But it's happening. Come hell or high water, Thursday. And I mean, you know, I don't know what day it was. I can't remember. February 29th. Yes, absolutely, Apostate Alex. I will answer that in a second. But that's when it's happening. So tell your friends, because the over-promised, under-delivered thing is finally going to be delivered February 29th. Okay, so that'll be at 1 o'clock. And it's going to be live right here. It'll be a combination of some live and some pre-done stuff, and you'll see. I got a whole little kind of show put together for it in my mind. Now I have to make it a reality. I'm nervous as hell about it, but because I've just been talking about it for so long. I hope you guys like the data I've put together on it. I think it summates the whole thing quite well, and that's all I'll say about it for now. So anyway, February 7th for the 10-year anniversary, and February 29th at 1 p.m. Mountain Time for the live stream of the tone scale video. My mouth I'm actually like all dry-mouthed right now just talking about this. I can't believe it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
Ridiculously so. So anyway, so all this build up, it better be good, right? Yeah, Thursday at 2. No, it'll be Thursday at 1. Okay, and 7th of February for the 10-year deal, and those will get posted, and you'll see them and get notifications and stuff if you get notifications of my stuff. So anyway, so there you go on that. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Okay, good. So all right. So kind of building along that line, I wanted to talk about something tonight in regards to cult fighting and, you know, in light of apropos of current events, but also the last 10 years of my life. And, you know, as I just noted, right, it's been 10 years. There's a multi-generational sort of aspect to this. And it's not about cults that teach how to fight. And it's an interesting one, this multi-generational thing. Because when I came into this fight in 2013, end of 2012, there were people who had been in this fight for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years already, who were OGs, right? And they have been called the old guard, this kind of thing. John Atack is among that group of people, right? All the way back to the 1980s, ancient history, which I'm old enough that it doesn't feel insane, right? No, Gary, that's not what this podcast or show is about tonight, actually. So I'm just talking about this generational thing because I entered into it. Now other people are entering into it. And I'm talking about all these protesters out there and the TikTok stuff and all that. And things change, right? And things move forward and all of that. My effort through all of these years, this is really what I'm trying to get to as far as this part of the conversation goes, is my effort, Benson, oh my goodness, he has been really noisy today.
He's being a little cranky.
He is being a little cranky, he is, yeah. My effort from the very beginning in what I have been doing with this, and it's been 10 years of almost daily work on this channel, on helping and working with people directly, one-on-one, on doing conferences and seminars and talks and writing a book and getting that published and putting that out, and doing interviews and Scientology in the Aftermath and everything else that I've been part of and have been very, very honored to be part of. You might need to, Benson's just growling as, I don't know if you can hear him off mic here, but he's got some issue. Mel's going to help him out with that. So the effort has been to help. The effort has been to educate and inform and maybe entertain along the way, but that's always been sort of secondary to informing and educating and helping, trying to help people. And I've been trying to help people inside of cults, and I've been trying to help people who have gotten out of cults, and I've been trying to help people who have come along to watch and see what this is all about, in an effort to try to educate all of y'all as I have myself been being educated. That's what I said, right from the get-go, is I'm on a recovery journey, and my channel is about taking you guys along for the ride. And there was a point, some time ago where I reached a point where I felt, you know what, I think this recovery thing is kind of at a point where I'm kind of put a stamp on it. I'm going to kind of say, you know what? I'm kind of over Scientology now. I think I'm done. I think I'm done working on that part of whatever it is I'm working on. And so then at that point, this channel really became just dedicated to education, information, trying to help people. Maybe offer some advice, some guidance, some assistance, some experience for whatever that's worth. And I've had a lot of time over these years and a lot of feedback, a lot of positive feedback, a lot of negative feedback, to think about how I'm doing this, what I'm trying to accomplish, am I reaching the people I'm trying to reach? What about all these other people, right? And after a lot of, soul searching and looking and this and that and the other thing, because when I get criticism, when I get harsh feedback, I'm still a small enough person with not a thick enough skin that sometimes it really still gets to me, and it's been a process just working on that, growing the thicker skin and all of that. That's been part of all of this. But I think I've finally, within my own mind and within the work that I'm trying to do here, come to a place of comfort with myself and a degree of satisfaction and certainty in what I'm trying to accomplish, that I know what it is I'm trying to do here and what I'm not trying to do here. And other people have other ideas of what they can and should be doing in fighting Scientology or fighting cults in general. Or their own cult, or their own group, or their own coercive targets. Everybody's got their ideas of what they can best do to accomplish some fight against that. And it is true that, short of, obviously outright destructive behavior like burning buildings down or some nonsense like that, short of violence, nonsensical, absolutely illegal activities, and that's never okay. But short of that, it shouldn't really be that big of a contentious issue as to who's doing what. We have wildly different ideas about what's effective, and I think that has a lot to do with our various goals. And so to my chagrin, I guess I could say, if I've come across in the way that I've been speaking about things in such a way that, I don't know what people think. I'm really not sure. I can't quite get it. But there are some people who seem really angry at me because I'm not on board with the protests or something. And they come to my channel, they comment, and this kind of thing. And I'm like, wow. But what really gets me is when I hear, and what are you doing? You're just sitting there talking. So I guess I need to say that I'm not just sitting here talking. In addition to the other things that I just laid out or described to you that I've been doing for 10 years, I've been working one-on-one with people on an almost daily basis for all these years. And it's only been, since I got a degree and really felt like I was kind of beyond the imposter syndrome of it all, that I felt like worthy of being able to actually charge for my time, that it was actually valuable enough to do that, because I could bring enough value to somebody's life that it would be worth asking for in exchange for it. But that wasn't when I started doing that work. And my consultation with people and the work that I do with people one-on-one and the intervention work that I have done out and about and, the street work that I've done, I don't talk about it because it's not part of this. It's private stories with individuals. Sometimes you've seen those people. Sometimes they've come out and come forward, and sometimes they haven't. And it's not, I've never felt compelled to have to offer receipts about any of this. But when people challenge me as to what it is I've been doing for the last 10 years, as though I'm just somebody sitting here talking, I'm clearly, obviously offended by that, because that's said from a position of really gross ignorance about what I am and what I'm doing here. So I just want to put that out there because I think that that is important to say in these times, is that the current generation can miss entirely and devalue all the work of the prior generation because it doesn't look and sound like what they think or they feel needs to be done. And so there's just this invalidation of everything that's come before. I have tried over all the years that I've been doing this to validate and acknowledge the fact that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I'm standing on the shoulders of people who took shellackings that I thankfully will never have to endure. You know, invasions of their privacy and their personal lives that were soul destroying. John knows what I'm talking about, right? Jerry Armstrong out there, Lawrence Wallersheim. I mean, there are some legendary names in Scientology's history that most people running around these days have never even heard of, don't know anything about. But none of what's happening right now could ever have happened if they hadn't lived and done what they did in taking Scientology to court, in dragging its name through the mud in the media in the 80s before there even was an internet, and raising awareness at the lowest possible level, the beginnings of what we're raising awareness in the 70s and 80s to all of this. That work needs to be, Stacy Brooks, Paulette Cooper, the names, I will forget to my shame, right, more than I can remember, because there are legendary characters we're talking about, heroes. And I don't consider myself that. I consider myself able to do the work I've been able to do because of that. And I think that needs to be acknowledged. And somehow that whole concept gets lost in all of this conflict and all of this anger and all this high emotion. And we then have to kind of reinvent the wheel every single time we're doing this, because maybe we're not paying enough attention to what we can learn from the past. And I think that's a kind of a tragedy of mankind over historical, you can look at us in the big picture and go, people, But here in this moment, at this time, at least with my voice, what can I just talk about? Well, I can talk about the fact that I think this is important. And I think that, the memory and history of what this movement has been is important. And that I've been able to be part of that is an honor to me. And, that just is kind of how that is. So I wanted to say those things because I wanted to put there that the high emotion, the vitriol, and the nonsense that goes on is all too typical and has been happening for all of these years. There's no such thing as a calm, cool, trauma community, right? As we've been over, right? The ex-cult community is a trauma community. This is also something that's just not generally understood or appreciated or acknowledged or cared about. I say that because I just see what's happening and how people respond and react to each other, including me. Again, I'm not perfect. You ready to come back? I am ready to come back. All right. Mel is back. Okay.
Yes. Whew. I had to let the dog out and play with him a little bit before he would chill.
All right. So I want to just kind of put out there, and then we'll get into this horrible truth thing, because all of this is not the horrible truth. The thing that I am trying to kind of put here is this is hard work. Sometimes this is thankless work. Sometimes this is contentious work. And all the time, this is potentially re-traumatizing work. And all of us are subject to that. If you've been in a cult, you got it. You understand what I'm talking about. And if you've never been in a cult, certainly you have experienced some degree of stress and trauma in your life, and you can, relate, right? This is, and the longer you're in these groups, the second gens, the people who were raised in these groups, there's a lot to deal with. And sometimes that's an overwhelming amount to deal with. Sometimes it's hard. And sometimes people say things and do things to each other that are just not, the nicest things. But at the end of the day, if we're effective in what we're doing, then supporting one another is the thing that makes sense. That's my very public sentiment about this, There are always going to be, all throughout this, there are always going to be people we're not going to get along with well. We're not going to rub elbows well with everybody.
Yep.
Period. End of story. It's a fact. And so why would it be any different within a tribe that, within a group, within a community, that everybody, is all going to be on the same page? Bullshit. Right? It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. It's an unreal expectation that sets everybody up for failure rather than acknowledging the truth of it, which is a lot of different people have a lot of different ways of doing this. Mm-hmm. And there's no ringleader. There is no anti-cult cult. Despite what the cults try to put out there. Scientology has put this out there. Academia has put this out there. Other cults have absolutely put this out there, that there are anti-cult cults. But what we all know, right, is that we are not following the orders or directions of any one person or thing or leadership, right? There is nobody guiding this ship. And that's one of the other reason why it is such a chaotic ride. Ain't nobody at the wheel. It's a bunch of people just paddling, and sometimes they're paddling in seemingly different directions, if that's stretching that analogy. So, all right. Now, that all being said, let's talk about this horrible truth. Oh, Laura, oh my goodness. Thank you for that super chat.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that super chat a lot. Popcorn Planet. Damn, that was a long time ago. Okay. The horrible truth. Let's get to that. Yes. Okay. There's a thing that I used to think that I think a lot of people that I see now expressing and throwing out there and throwing around that I wanted to speak to, which is this idea of we're going to end this cult. We're going to end this. Like the idea that I don't say this in an effort to just like be, Donnie Downer. That's not my flow at all with this, okay? Guys, that I'm an optimistic person who wants good things to happen, and I expect good things to happen. But I also want to be realistic about our expectations. And when we're talking about cults, we're talking about human behavior that is amped up. But it's regular, ordinary, organic human behavior. It's not aliens. It's not a bunch of psychopaths. Mm-hmm. It's not a bunch of weird subhumans. They're human beings, just like you and me, and they get way too involved in something, right? Way too dedicated. And all the dials go way up to, 11 and beyond. And there's a very good truth about this, and then there's this horrible truth about it. Okay, so the very good truth about this is that self-destruction is built into every one of these groups. Mm-hmm. Their own self-destruction is built into their DNA. I founded this channel on a video series that started with the idea that Scientology has built into its very DNA its own self-destruction. 10 years later, I still hold true. I still hold that that is absolutely true. That was one of my very first insights as an ex-Scientologist looking at Scientology was this thing can't sustain itself. It won't. It's not a viable operation in the long term, right? But what are we looking at there? Where we're looking at decades. That's what we're kind of looking at there, right? The seeds of its own destruction are built into it. And when you have groups that are destructive cults, they do tend to get led by people who tend to be rather psychopathic personalities. We call them predators. It's a lot easier than going into the psychiatry of it. Those people are not generally creative people. And the structures that they build are not generally constructive. They're destructive, right? They tend to tear things down, tear people down, that kind of thing. So the positive news here, right, is that they are doing themselves in regardless of what we do. What we do is speed it up through exposure, through sunlight. That's the main way we do that. And they then proceed to speed up the process of their self-destruction because they freak out even more at the exposure, over the abuses. They have to stop with some of the abuses. And by the way, over the last 10 years, some of what we have accomplished, and I say we as in all of us, is a reduction of mandatory forced abortions in Scientology and the false imprisonment and taking their passports, and the whole has been shut down. I mean, there have been changes. Ones we know about and ones we don't. And those kind of positive incremental changes are slow to come. Legal battles, which are the most effective ways citizens can fight back against groups like this, are slow. They take a while, and this is where we're going over into the horrible truth, right? Which is that, yes, the self-destruction is built into these groups, but it is shockingly slow. It's horribly slow, waiting for it to happen. And yet, that's what it takes. Unless you have, right? Now, when you start talking about tiny groups, NXIVM, right? Where you have a very, very small group of people led by one dude, right? Out of his house, basically, out of a mansion. You go arrest that guy, it's over.
Right.
Right? Is it, though? If you go talk to the people, ex-NXIVM members, you'll find out it's not over. That there are still people who believe in Keith Raniere and still talk about him and still visit him and still want him around and this kind of thing. And practice his things and talk about and propagate NXIVM. It's still here. Now, it's not here to the same degree it was when Keith was running the show, but it's still here. It's not gone. Nobody destroyed NXIVM. They put Keith Raniere in jail. They destroyed the creator and source of NXIVM, the Vanguard. That's what he called himself.
Oh, God.
That's what they did. And so unless somebody else comes along and picks that up and starts creating newly, it's on a trajectory of death, obviously, right? Just like it always was. But putting him in jail obviously sped that up. But I'm just trying to make the point that it's not dead. Any more than if you lock David Miscavige up tomorrow, Scientology wouldn't be dead. Not even remotely dead. You know, all those translated books, all those millions of books that are out there, you know, all it takes is people picking those things up, starting to practice it, and which they're already doing all over the place. You know, here, there, here, there. You haven't killed it. It's not gone. You're not destroying it. You're not bringing it down. You're not tearing this thing down and salting the earth.
Nope.
That's not the picture.
No, it's like people are mentioning Warren Jeffs in the chat, and it's like, yeah, he got arrested, he's in jail, but FLDS is still running around.
Exactly. Exactly. And look at all of the, if you go down through Utah and New Mexico and Arizona, you will find groups scattered, right? You could just throw some seeds around on the ground, right? Of FLDS polygamy outfits, right? Communities. They're all over the place out in the deserts. Mountains too, right? Then don't even start talking about what's up in the Rockies. So when you talk about destroying these things, ending these things, this is an unrealistic expectation, not because I'm saying it, not because I want it to be that way. It just is. The horrible truth about cults in general, moving beyond any one group, any one activity, Scientology, NXIVM, whatever, is that cults aren't going anywhere any more than religion is, any more than government is, any more than eating is. Cults are that natural to our social behavior. They are the extreme manifestation of our social behavior, if you will. They are one version of that. It's when good things get taken in an incredibly wrong direction that you have a cult, destructive cult. And that's something that is never going to go away, because every new generation of people is going to have a certain percentage of those people who are completely psychotic, who are just predatory abusers, right? They're predators. They're people who prey on other people. There's always a percentage in any size group. I don't know, probably, get it out. I mean, more than 3 people. I mean, I think you got to get out to about 10 or 20 before you start really seeing somebody who's truly a predator. But, but anywhere, any sample size you want to go anywhere around in the world, anywhere, there's predators around.
Oh, yeah.
That's my point. And some of them get pretty clever, and some of them get pretty clever at the right moment, at the right time, with the right circumstances, and out rolls a cult. Because it's almost always, by the way, an opportunistic activity, creating a cult in the first place. Then they start building it, and maybe figuring it out and designing it and all that. But usually at the get-go, it's an accident. Very rarely is it done on purpose. Okay, so I see we have one call in the queue, and I want to be mindful of our calls this week and get some time on those. This is a call-in show after all. And by the way, this is another thing I want to say real fast, though, just to address this, is, I get this just annoyance, right? I get people coming around, you blow V8. Some guy commented on my channel recently with this. You blow V8 on and on, but you don't debate, you don't talk to anybody or anything. And I'm like, dude, every Friday I'm here on a call-in show. If y'all want to talk to me, call in and talk to me. I'm right here. Okay. Sorry, just got to, all right, let's take this call. Here we go. Hello, is this Travis?
It is.
Hey.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
I certainly can. And I appreciate you taking my call this week. And hello to Mel.
Hello.
And the dog, too. So,
He says hi.
yeah, he does, doesn't he? Okay. Snuggles, not struggles, everybody. Okay.
That's right. Hey, by the way, shout out to you. I'm just going to say this. Shout out to you. Travis is the one who actually suggested that name for the Benson cam.
That's right. So that's exactly right. It's very fitting, by the way.
It's awesome.
I think everybody can look at, when you have that live feed of that dog, all you want to do is hug the dog and kiss his precious face.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. So, Chris, there's something I'd like to interject here.
Sure. Yeah. Go for it.
When it comes to the very true fact that you're communicating tonight.
Yeah.
That cults will never go away.
Right.
No, they won't. And the reason why cults won't go away is the same reason why dating websites won't go away. Tinder, these kind of things, marriage, bars. Cults serve a very human need, emotional needs.
Yep.
Okay. Now,
right.
I'm not saying they do it properly. I'm not saying that they serve these needs in any type of healthy fashion. People desire answers, humans. They desire community.
Yep.
Also, humans desire to have bonds with other people, friendship, romantic, social, you name it.
Yep.
You get this through, for example, we've got the Super Bowl coming up. Well, people will gather around in a communal effort to support their own team.
Yep.
Be it the Cowboys. Y'all make fun of that in the comments. Or whatever it might be. And here comes a cult. Now, not everybody is vulnerable to the cult message.
Yep.
However, some people, they want answers. They say, oh, wait a minute. Here, I can go to Scientology, and they'll tell me why it is that I feel like garbage. Well, most everybody feels like garbage a lot of the time. That's part of being an adult.
That's right.
Hate to say it. Teenagers feel like garbage, too. Let's see. People want to have a significant other. Well, what are the prime things that people look for in a significant other? Somebody who shares their values and is attractive, let's face it. Ugly people don't tend to have a whole lot of luck. Okay. Now, I'm ugly too, so everybody in the audience don't start saying Travis is acting some kind of way. I'm one of those guys. I was in radio and TV for a lot of years, and I was behind the camera. So go figure out why that happened. Okay. So these are all things that I wanted to bring up, Chris, and it's a shout out to your own channel. You've actually gone over the emotional needs deal in a video or two. So I'll let you plug that now and also inject what you've got as a follow-up.
You bet. You bet. Well, absolutely. You're nailing it. In fact, these emotional needs are so important to me that I keep them on a Post-it note of glory here on my desk constantly, because to remind myself of this, because I think this is absolutely key. Bottom line, fundamental. This explains cults to me. You know, at a basic level where anybody can understand it, and I think that I think this emotional needs thing is really, really vital and important to getting why it is and how it is that cults happen at all. And from there, we go into all of the, you know, manipulation tactics and techniques and all of that. And you get that, you got the whole picture. And that's basically all I'm trying to get across to people. So I guess that summates it.
And I'll follow up, and this is my last point, and I'll hang up, is that the natural human tendency, and this is out of necessity, we as humans, and myself included, we like to talk to people who know. I don't know about diesel engines, let's say.
Yeah.
I know that cars have them, big trucks have them. How do they work? Don't know. Smoke comes out the back. You put gasoline in there. So there's a natural tendency of humans to say, oh, this guy seems knowledgeable or is confident about it. I think I'll listen to him. Or her. Look at Teal Swan. She's a cult leader-S, I guess.
Yes.
Use a funny term. So there's that. You put those two things together, emotional needs and the tendency of humans to say, oh, okay, this person's knowledgeable or seems like an authority. And, the fireworks start from there. So your more discerning viewers will know. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you said something kind of important there, too, about confidence. Like, people tend to believe confident people more, even if they're wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah. If you're confident about it, people might believe you.
Yep.
Right, and that's where the term con man comes from.
That's right.
Now, the only thing that I'll bring up here is there is a fallacy called argument from authority.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you brought that up with your cards, and that is appealing to somebody who's an authority who is not an authority.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So
That's
I mentioned diesel engines. If I walked around talking about diesel engines that run off of ferries, little fairies are in there like little Peter Pan guys, and they do magic and make explosions happen.
Right.
Well, I could say that and say that I know about diesel engines. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm not an authority, but I can pretend that I am.
Right.
And then people can say, hey, that Travis guy says that the little ferries, the little horsepower ferries in my diesel engine make it go. No. With that, I'll go.
All
And thank
right.
you for taking my call.
You bet. Thanks for calling in. All right, I was just making a note about something before I forget.
Okay.
News, media, and law enforcement. All right.
Okay.
Oh, yes, that too. And
It's easy to be forgetful.
social
I have to
media.
write things down. I have to do that too.
Yeah, I just wanted to note these down real fast because Gary here was asking a question in the comments, and I think he's calling in now. No, yes, yeah. There.
Yeah, this is a different.
This is a
from-
different one.
yeah.
Okay, let's pick this one up. Hello. You're on.
Hi, Chris.
Hi. Welcome
Hi,
to
how
the
are
show.
you?
Is this Gary?
Yes, this is Gary, yeah.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, hi, yeah. I just wanted to say, first of all, listening to your kind of monologue, I just wanted to say I've been a subscriber since about 2014, I think.
Oh, great.
And you stopped
Wow.
me getting into Scientology. I was talking to Alex in the chat. I was very interested in about 2014. I saw some of the videos and, the general Scientology propaganda type stuff. And actually met you a few times. I may have actually even met Alex. We were talking in the chat. I think he may have tried to sell me Dianetics. But my girlfriend at the time was sort of more on it than I was, and sort of she didn't point me in the direction of your videos. That would be unfair, but pointing me out, maybe you want to search this up and research this a bit more. And at the time, there was I don't think there really was much apart from your videos. I remember watching your videos on the different what's the word I'm trying to say? Different sections of Scientology, like the L. Ron Hubbard community fund type thing.
Yeah.
And then started following Mike Render. And I've got to be honest, kind of become a bit of an obsession now, following what's going on in Scientology.
Yep. Yeah.
And with the W community.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was my so thank you guys. Thank you first of all, yeah. My I guess what I wanted to talk about was, I understand completely if you don't want to talk about it, but my first question was I kind of got two questions.
Okay.
First of all, what do you think? Do you mind talking about, not specifically about Aaron, but about that?
I don't want to talk about that.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. My other question is going to be, I remember you did quite a few videos with John Cedars,
Uh-huh.
Lloyd Evans.
Yeah, Lloyd. Yeah. I used to do videos with Lloyd. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's kind of related to the other question that's asking. It wasn't specifically about Aaron, but
Uh-huh.
more generally, there's this new YouTube channel. I think it's Audit something.
Uh-huh.
Where the guy seems to be riling up Scientologists, rather than actually trying to help people.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the question was, the first question was what's your thoughts about that, and the second question was, given that Scientology is such a small cult in terms of like how many people actually are members,
Yep.
how do you think we can make awareness of larger cults that affect a lot more people's lives, like Jehovah's Witnesses?
Right, right. That's what I was making some notes about. Okay, so as I've gone on record and said before in the past, right? I don't think going around and hostilely or antagonistically approaching cult members is a productive activity. It only doubles down their own belief system for themselves. They only become defensive and believe even harder. It becomes harder for them. There are reasons why they then will become hostile towards you.
Oh, yeah.
And they will also go further into the cult space because of that. They'll retreat into their safe space, so to speak. So you're doing a disservice to them, but regardless of them, it's a display of behavior that is cult-like, and you don't fight cults by acting like a cult. This is why deprogramming didn't work in the 80s when they were kidnapping people and locking them up and treating them like cults treat people in order to get them out of a cult. And this was a hostile, reactionary behavior to what is, I'm enraged by the fact that you are in this cult. I want you out of it so bad, I'm willing to violently act toward you to do this. And it's, you know, and it's sort of an ends justify the means kind of mentality, right? And that's not good. I'm sorry, but I just have moral problems with that, as well as psychological problems, right? I mean, I have a good reason to think that that's a really bad idea. It also attracts attention and sympathy to the cult. Because if some guy or woman or group of people is yelling and screaming hostilities and obscenities towards a group of people, people are going to look at that and go, what the hell, you know? And now, of course, this is Scientology, so they've got a pretty toxic reputation right now already. It's been that way for many, many years. So I don't know that we're really going to be incurring a whole lot of sympathy in Scientology's direction, but you start physically assaulting or attacking Scientologists publicly, and that's exactly what's going to happen, is sympathy is going to go in that direction. So we don't want that. Now,
Chris, sorry, I've heard you and then other people say that there's a persecution complex within cults with Jehovah's Witnesses and Scientology that, you know, like the outside world trying to get to us. So it's just playing into them.
Yes, absolutely it does. Yeah, because that's that doubling down where they agree, oh my God, the world is so dangerous. It's a ramp up of the us versus them. Right? We're us and they are the dangerous people out there, and we have to huddle together and protect one another and stand strong, and we stand tall. I mean, you know, why do you think Scientology has music videos, We Stand Tall? What, you know, like this is why. I mean, seriously, that this is this whole us versus them thing. I mean, they'd be doing that regardless, but you know, you attack them, and I'm telling you, from inside, it really helps them be more culty. Okay.
Yeah.
So then you had another question about the bigger groups.
Yeah. So my question now is, I think Scientology, I mean, this is just a personal opinion, but I think because John Travolta, Tom Cruise, and so on and so forth, he gets a lot of focus, whereas, well, actually, to be fair, the JWs had Michael Jackson, they had other people who were part of it, Serena Williams, but they don't seem to get the same, apart from Lloyd Evans, they don't seem to get really much attention.
I would, okay, I'm going to disagree with you a little bit on that one, because I'm aware of the fact that there have been government inquiries and legal cases against the Jehovah's Witnesses and against various sects.
No, Chris, I'd agree with that, but not on a content level. That's, I mean, those things aren't going to stop people getting in and out of the cult, are they?
No, they're not. No, they're not. In order to stop the JWs, and we were talking about millions of people. I think it's about 7 million, 6 or 7 million worldwide, something like that. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's something like that. Yeah. This in order to fight groups like this, in order to fight groups like the JWs, this is an international organization, right? So again, there isn't any one way you're going to go take these guys out, right? What you can contribute to, what we as citizens, we've only got access to so many things that we can only do so much with, right? You have government inquiry, you have news media, you have law enforcement, and you have social media. And as far as I can tell, those are your 4 main lines of how you can, as a citizen, get on one of those lines and push and try to get help, right, in that direction. You can get government inquiries going. In other words, anything from local to, city council, all the way up to state, all the way up to federal. Inquiries, hearings, investigations. If you can drive that and make that happen, that is effective work. It does help. It's slow as hell. It is an uphill battle to do it, but it's very effective because you're dealing with public policy when you start doing government intervention stuff. And that can change things in the long term in very significant ways, but it's a long battle. News media can get you quick hits. If you can get a story, if you can get something salacious, if you can get something trauma centered generally, or something that people are going to be like, wait a minute, what? That gets attention. Those points of attention raise awareness. Over time, enough stories, people start connecting dots, but it takes lots of stories over time to do that, where you're going to make a big push. Probably one of the best examples of that in terms of big effect, like huge effect, even that we're still feeling today, would be the spotlight scandal of the Catholic Church.
Mm-hmm. And that happened in JWs. And
if that were to happen with JWs, right, or with...
It has happened with JWs, I think. And there's been some sexual scandals within Scientology as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, the content is there to be mined. They are bad groups doing bad things. Government inquiries have shown rampant sexual abuse in the JWs, for example, against children and things like that. That's been covered up for a long, long time. But a government inquiry and a news media report are 2 different things. And so I'm saying on the news media line, if you can get a really impactful story like Spotlight did, right? That's the gold standard for what you're going to get out of that. Is you're going to get.
It's the Spotlight, the film Spotlight. That, exposed to. Yeah. I know the one you mean.
It has a snowball effect, right?
Do you think there's any? I mean, this is very conspiratorial, but money going from these guys. I mean, I know Scientology is very small in terms of membership base, but it's very financially well off in terms of payoffs to avoid the media, to avoid these lawsuits, these things come up in the first place.
Well, all of these groups have all kinds of lawyers and fixers and people that they use to keep things out of the press or keep things suppressed. And they all do that. Scientology has been infamous for that since the 1960s. There are small, large, it doesn't take a whole lot of people to do, reputation management and monitoring of the media. And that's kind of OSA, the Office of Special Affairs. In Scientology, that's one of the things they do. The JWs have a similar setup. The Mormons have a similar setup. They don't have an Office of Special Affairs, but they have something that serves that function. And they do that. Of course they do that, right? They act to suppress stories or keep things from coming out. And yet, things still come out. They can't suppress it all,
Yeah, it's impossible. Yeah, it's a fascinating topic.
Now I had two
Chris-
other things on this list that I wanted to go over with you real fast, and then I can I think we're gonna have to wrap up.
Yeah.
Okay, let me just finish my answer here then, and that is you have government inquiry and news media. You also have law enforcement. Okay, and law enforcement is probably the weakest of these four that I'm going to go over here because it is the most overburdened with literal crime. And if you don't come in there with a lot of proof and evidence or easy to get evidence, it can be a real struggle to get prosecution going, even when you know there are crimes, because there's a difference between knowing a crime was committed and proving a crime was committed. So, law enforcement and pursuing legal suits, again, you can do civil suits, but also criminal prosecution can be pursued. Individual citizens can put themselves on this and, push to make this happen or contribute to this or investigate or do something to push on this line. And finally, the one most of us are on, social media, where, you start a channel, you do something, you get out there, you're exposing, you're talking, you're raising awareness, and whoever you can reach, however you can reach them, and whatever you're doing. So, so that's what I've got there.
Chris, another
Okay.
question for me.
Did we deal with that?
So
No.
I'm kind of thinking here as you're talking. I know that your channel was called Critical Thinking for a while. Yeah, I know that very intelligent, highly educated people get into Scientology and other cults.
Yep.
Even ones that have had very scientific training, but yet in the JW, which I have some experience of what I've done in foreign past, discourages that. What sort of education do you think? Do you think there is any education from a academic perspective, as opposed to watching YouTube videos, that could protect people from getting into cults?
Yes, I do. And these are things I talk about all the time, which is critical thinking and emotional intelligence. At first, I thought it was just going to be critical thinking and that was going to do the job, but it doesn't. You need emotional intelligence as well. You have to understand your emotional needs.
But how can you educate those things outside of?
Oh, yeah, no, that's what we're pushing for. That is another thing, actually, is education. Actually, thank you for bringing that up. Because there are people in the ex-cult world who go in on education as their thing. This is what they do. And they educate psychiatrists, they educate judges, they educate law enforcement officials. They literally put programs of education together and go out and do that. I know people who do that. So that's another avenue of approach that you can take, because there isn't enough out there, and we all know that. And so, you can't go change all the school systems all at once. It doesn't work that way. Our systems are way too spread out and disconnected. You have to go and choose you have to choose a battle, and you got to go fight it. And that's all you can really do when it comes to this kind of stuff. I hope, and I'm not trying to limit people's choices. I'm just saying these are the options, as far as fighting cults and stuff goes.
I think my first idea comes like I've got a doctorate. I like to think of myself as a fairly intelligent person, so it kind of when people talk about obviously I didn't get into Scientology in any of the same way that anyone you did or many of your listeners, but it kind of aims above scientific brain, if that makes sense. It kind of like I think it did help me take apart that. But if you're emotionally vulnerable and you're looking for something, even if you are a very intelligent individual, I'm not saying not them, but you can still fall into those traps.
I'm sorry, I got lost somewhere in the middle of that.
I almost did fall into those traps, despite the fact that I feel like I'm a fairly intelligent individual. If that makes sense.
Oh, sure, yeah. Intelligence doesn't have hardly anything to do with falling into a cult. It's not your intelligence that's gonna stop you. Well, it'd be your emotional intelligence, I suppose.
Yeah.
And your self-awareness in the moment. Those are the things. And they're hard. It's hard. It's so hard.
But not necessarily, Chris, because I think, having watched your videos for 9 years, I haven't watched a lot of them recently, but I think your emotional intelligence, in a way, because emotional intelligence is automatically linked to being an empathetic person, I think that's what got you into Scientology, because you talked a lot in your previous videos about you wanted to help the world, etc.
Oh, yeah.
So
absolutely true.
That probably helped you get in, but also helped you out. So I think, and that's probably why you did the role that you did for so long, was because Scientology recognised you were good at your job.
Absolutely.
You were good at recruiting.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, we've been talking, and I have a couple other people in the queue, so I have to let you go.
Yeah. No worries. Nice talking, Chris. Thank you.
All right, man. All right, thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. All right, one moment, please. Okay. We are over time. We're going to wrap up. I'm sorry for those in the queue, but we are going to wrap up. Okay. And that's what we're going to do. I will make an effort. I tried to just go a little earlier this week. And some of these came in just the last few minutes, and I do apologize for not getting to them. It is just a matter of the time of the show. So we're going to wrap up here, guys. It went way too fast. I actually am a little shocked at the fact that it's been an hour and stuff already. Anyway, so I am sorry, guys, but time is the time. So on all of this, let's wrap up. You get us our cards.
All
I will
right.
tell you while she's doing that tomorrow you're going to have a podcast with a woman named Emily Ragland, and we are talking about trauma. And this is a pretty hardcore podcast tomorrow. It's not really long. I think it's like an hour 20 or something like that. But she's got a story to tell that is a little like, whoa. And she's like a trauma counselor, teacher now, and we talk a lot about trauma awareness and recovery. So I hope you guys will tune in and check that out. It's a pretty intense one. And then we're going to have, my plan is at least a pre-recorded Q&A that I will record tomorrow. Thanks for all of the awesome comments during the show here, by the way, guys. Really appreciate it. And Mel, I can take my headphones off now.
All right.
Okay.
So we've got sunk cost fallacy. That's your bias for the week. You irrationally cling to things that have already cost you something. When we've invested our time, money, or emotion into something, it hurts to let it go. Ask yourself, had I not already invested something, would I still do so now? Like, if you spend a bunch of money, you might not want to let go. If you spend a bunch of time and emotions, I think that's what happens in abusive relationships. Is they're like, well, I've been in it for so long. Might as well keep going.
There you go. Mm-hmm. It's a major one on why people stay.
Oh yeah,
it is. It's seriously, it is, and it's the one that gets quoted all the time as well. And no, Gary, you were not boring. Okay.
No.
Not at all. You had good questions. I wish I could have heard you a little better, but I understand we're calling from the UK. So I hope that came across okay for everybody on the mic and everything. Good show tonight. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming around. And I think maybe some people thought this was going to be something different than it was. And don't know what to tell you. I'm doing the best I can here with what we got. And I'm educating. That's my job. If you think my job is to do something else, it's not. This is what I do. And I help people. And... And on that happy note, let's end the show. All right. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Good night.